If it's bull or bear, I don't care. It's quite a rough ride, just like life. But I'm kinda patient, 'cause only time will tell. It's gonna go
ready to go?
on, so you better stay calm.
Right,
Crow your coins, you gotta crow your coins. Crow your coins, crow your coins.
Hello everyone, welcome to a surprise stream. Richard Hart and Crypto Crow here. Crypto Crow doesn't know anything about me, and I don't know anything about him. He's seen a couple videos of mine. I haven't seen any of his. I think he's a trader mostly. Crypto trader, I think you are.
Trader, investor, little everything, miner.
Nice. Well, take it away, man. Let's do it.
Well, so everybody that's watching my intro right now can hear me talk, but there we go. Okay, now we're live. Welcome. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 2:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just went to a Christmas party my father-in-law throws every year and drank a lot of spiked eggnog, and I have sobered up completely, and now I have a headache. But I'm doing this with Richard tonight because he's a part of he's in the influencer group that I started a while back. And, you know, a lot of people in the group have been talking to him about HEX, and I've seen him do a couple interviews, and I just figured, you know what, he sounds like an interesting dude, so let's just talk to him and find out what's up. And so thanks, man. You know,
pleasure.
I literally sent him a message and said, hey, you know, we should do an interview this weekend or this next week. And he's like, how about now? And I'm like, okay, it's 2:30 a.m. I feel I've got a bit of a headache, but let's do it. Screw it. So here we are. A lot of bling you got going on there, sir.
Thank you very much. I've come from Florida, and in Florida they wear a lot of jewelry. I gotta go turn my mic up real quick.
Okay,
give me 1 second.
Sure. So yeah, let's see who's in chat. Yeah, this is a late night one. I don't know if I've ever.
Now the audience will be happier. I gotta plug my earpiece back in.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever gone live at 2:30 in the morning. Richard Hart. Been waiting for this talk. Interesting.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Sweet. Yeah. On my preamp, if I don't turn it the last 1/100th of an inch, it is a lot lower. I have to have it all the way maxed out.
So I guess as far as, so I started in a lot of this back in 2017, and you know, at the time I was developing mortgage companies, and you know, I had a business development background, and you know, before that I was an MMA fight promoter for 6 years, and then before that I had a record label for 6 years. And I typically get bored after like 6 years, I guess, and then I go off into a completely different industry. So I went from MMA, I went from music to MMA, from MMA to the mortgage business, and did really well in the mortgage business, actually. And I ended up going independent, left the company I was working for, started helping mortgage companies develop branches, you know, train their staff, hiring, firing, all kinds of stuff. I would basically go in, like if a branch was struggling or something was going on, I would go in and resurrect it, double their volume, you know, and then I'd go on to another client. And so when I discovered crypto, I'd actually discovered crypto through Ian Bellina. I watched some of his videos, and Superman. And those guys get so much hate. But, you know, I'm more of a person, I don't want to say people person, but I think I'm pretty good at, you know, reading between the lines in some cases, and kind of judging people based off of their actual, you know, who they are, not necessarily some of the stuff that they say or do. I think I was definitely wrong to a certain degree about Roger Ver, because I had prejudged him based off of just watching him yell at people a few times. And then, you know, the more I've learned about him, the more I'm like, oh man, I feel really bad. Like because not that I never did like, I hate Roger Ver videos or anything like that, but it was just, he just struck me as kind of an asshole, you know? Right. And then I realized, you know, in context, when you've got, YouTubers that are setting you up for ambush interviews and then they want to just shit all over you, I'd be pretty pissed too, So, but that, my background, I got into ICOs and researching ICOs and, I was one of the first guys around that would I would do a paid feature, a paid review, and I would tell everybody, I always disclosed everything. And I was also one of the few people that, I would charge a Bitcoin for a review, and I would, and the companies knew they were rolling the dice. And if I thought it was a shit project, I told everybody it was a shit project. So, people knew that even if I was being paid to review something, it was legitimate. It was, if I thought it was great, I would tell everybody, I'm excited about this. This looks really good. And if it wasn't, I would tell everybody, this is a shit show and you need to stay away. And so that's a part of what made me popular. I got into mining and I've built some rigs and I've done how-to videos and I do trading, and that's kind of my background. And so I have crowmining.com and crowtrader.com and I'm working on another platform. And so that, I've basically kind of used this bear market to kind of establish a basis. And right. I've met a lot of interesting people in the process.
I hope that I'm able to share something with you that's even better than mining and trading and other things.
Well,
I designed it to be so.
So I think, let's start. So I guess first I want to know, before I even get into HEX, I'm interested in you. Okay. I've seen so much stuff. If everybody believed everything they saw in a video about me, I would probably have killed everybody in 15 countries. And there's always bullshit everywhere from haters and this and that. And I feel like if somebody gets popular, you're always going to get haters and they are always going to make up shit about you. So I'm curious, who are you? When did you get into the space? Where did you start? What got you to where you are? What's your background? It sounds to me like you're a developer.
No. So my first, I was born really lucky. I was smart. I went to the smart kids school. And then I was the last kid to get into the smart kids school. Someone else had to fail out in order for there to be space for me. So I went to this thing called Math Education for Gifted Secondary School Students, which is MEGSSS. And if you Google MEGSSS curriculum, you'll see that it's the most advanced education you could ever possibly give a middle schooler ever. So in 6th grade, we learned logic before math. Modus ponens, modus tollens, syllogistic inference, set theory. And we learned that before math. So you could derive math from logic. You can't really derive logic from math. We learned scheme programming. It was just insane. The best education you could dream. And I was very lucky to get in there. I was the last guy to get in. And then skip my senior year of college, or skip my senior year of high school, went to early admissions to college because, it's free college and everyone just wastes their last year of high school anyway, just doing silly stuff. So I figured I'd get a head start on life. Then I had a friend that had started a business. He wrote his own shopping cart and his own website builder. And I thought, well, let's work together. And I started promoting his shopping cart and website builder. And you could private label. So if you had a website design company, you could have your lead designer make a few templates. And then anytime you got a new client, you just chose what template kind of fitted for them. And then instantly you'd have shopping cart, email, what you see, what you get editor, private labeled, so that when they logged in to edit their site, they just saw your, brand. So if you were a website design company or a marketing company, it was a good value add. And then I learned search engine optimization, and that game hasn't changed. The search engine optimization game is exactly the same as it was 15 years ago when I left it.
I got to disagree with you there. I did SEO for a long time.
Let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm. I used to do churn and burn campaigns that you can't do anymore. I used to be able to throw up a web page with some affiliate links, blast it with 200,000 or 300,000 backlinks, rank it number one for Google for a while, and make some really good money before Google. Right. Now it's all kind of counterproductive. You blast too many links. And
but it's still all backlinks.
It is about
just different backlinks. So your backlinks weren't old enough, but it's still only backlinks. That game has not changed. Like if you go and look up who the number one rank is, and you use a backlink tool and you see how many they got and what PR the sites are that are linking to them, that shit hasn't changed. And the reason that it's unlikely to change is because there's a finite number of pieces of data that you can use that are accessible to a crawler, and that could put one site ahead of another site, right? So in fact, actually, the game could change if Google used all of the tools that they have available to them. So Google owns Android, and Google owns Chrome, and Google owns YouTube, and Google therefore knows exactly how long you're on site, exactly where your mouse cursor was when you're on site, exactly what you clicked when you're on site, when you bounced off site, and where you went next. They know all of that. So their actual ability to tell real traffic from fake traffic is infinite. It's invincible. They couldn't possibly have more.
Sure.
They know the position of your phone and what angle you're holding it because they have access to the accelerometer. They fucking know whether it's real traffic or not if they wanted to.
Right.
Now, what I've in my experience is that they're not using those abilities that are available to them, and that is really still mostly a link popularity game. But it doesn't always have to be that way, right? Anytime you don't have control of identity, you can assume 50,000 fake identities and just Sybil attack their logic. So if they don't have identity, then you can just pretend that you're 50,000 people and you really like that site the most. And then it's a war. It's an escalation war, right? It's whoever can, you fight, and then they do a new crawler update, and then you fight, and then they do another update, right? And it's a war. And they want you to have that war because they want to fuck you out of your rank so that you pay Google AdWords, which is where they make all their money. They don't want you to rank for free. They want to give you a taste and then rank you to fucking zero, so you got to pay, because why give you money for free, right?
Well,
yeah, so I did SEO.
From a backlinks perspective, though, I mean, back in the day when I used to use a lot of tools like GSA and things like that, where I can just blast backlinks. You do that now, and it's absolutely counterproductive.
Well, yeah,
it's about domain authority and page authority and things like that, much more now than it was then. So
you used to be able to get a DMOZ link,
but it's a lot more difficult.
Run that shit.
Do what?
I don't think anyone's even have heard of DMOZ. DMOZ.
Oh man, that's
like
old school. God, trying to get them to list a website was a pain in the ass.
So when I was in, like, this was early 2000s.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was. Yeah. I've been doing it for a while.
So anyway, I kept moving up, doing a new business every 2 years until I eventually had a 150 person marketing company, and just fucking retired and left the States and started traveling the world. Moved down to Panama and got the shit robbed out of me down there. Lived there about 2 years.
Did you really?
Yeah, I got annihilated. Just everyone was robbing me. Just didn't realize it until it was over. You're
like, I thought you meant you literally went down there and got robbed at gunpoint. They took all your shit.
Oh no, there was a home invasion, and 10 people invaded my home there with guns, tied up my girlfriend.
Really?
Like, yeah. Like, people don't realize that the third world is the third world because bad things happen there.
Right.
So in Panama, there's two newspapers. There's the newspaper that's popular, which is La República, which is, the Republic, and everyone reads that and everything seems very nice. But then there's the street paper that people actually read that live there, called La Crítica. And there you see the dead bodies hanging out of cars, right? Because they love to take pictures of dead bodies there for some reason. But I guess it sells the magazine better. And then the difference between La Crítica and La República is gigantic. And then you don't, as a guy that just moves there, you don't realize what the real deal is, right? Like, the real deal is like, hey, there's a new gringo here. Let's annihilate this guy, like, in every angle possible. So yeah, I took a good beating there, and then started traveling the world. So moved down to Argentina a couple of years. No, not a couple of years, 6 months I was down there. It just seems like more because I'd visit it pretty often. And then did Europe. So when I started volunteering for charity, volunteered for the Sens Foundation. I'd grown out a really big beard and grew my hair out because I wanted to try and support longevity research. And the leader of this charity was named Aubrey de Grey, and he's got a giant wizard beard and long hair. And I thought, well, if you're trying to tell people they should invest in medical research, they don't want to hear it from some young kid. Maybe they like it from an older person a little bit. So I looked stupid for a long time because you don't believe it when people tell you look stupid. You're like, nah, this looks cool. This beard looks great. And then eventually you're like, no, actually that beard looks stupid.
Well, so I gave up because my wife made me change out of my faux hawk and affliction shirts. So I don't make my own decisions at all anymore. My facial hair, everything is all her. So I gave up that fight.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's right.
So yeah, and then since I was retired, just traveling the world. I lived in hotels for 5 years, just going from city to city, checking it out. Small cities you can't stay too long. Big cities you can stay longer. I saw Bitcoin when it was less than $1 on Reddit. I used to read Reddit all the time, and then I saw it when somebody had sold their house for it when it was $1, and then I saw the Silk Road article, and then I invested. So I was mining on both my GPUs. I had a 5970, two video cards on two video card chips on one card. And then I just, bought a bunch of rigs and put them together. And this is back when you had to use a resistor to trick the video card into allowing you to boot headless. Like it wouldn't boot the other video cards because it didn't think there were monitors attached to them. So you had to put fake monitors there using a resistor.
I never heard that trick before.
Yeah. Yeah. This is back in the old days, man. So, 5970s is when I first got in, and then when I really started building the rigs, they were like 6950s, change the BIOS and overclock them. And then, it became unprofitable at some point. The difficulty went too high. So then, I bought heavy at 30, helped make the 30 top, bought the top along with everybody else that saw the Silk Road article on Wired. Got to hold it down to 1. Now, some charts you look at, they don't show the price went down to 1, but Mt. Gox flash crashed to 1 because a hacker made it flash crash to 1 cent. So I held Bitcoin through the 1 cent drop, and they rolled those trades back, but in my opinion, they really that should happen, right? It went to a penny.
Wow.
Yeah. So buying 30 and watching it go to a penny is a pretty bad beat. But when you're so rich, you don't really give a fuck. You're like, whatever, who cares, right? That's the one thing I think is funny about Bitcoin is everyone thinks they're changing the world, and everyone thinks they're getting rid of banksters, and you want to let them know the banksters own more Bitcoin than you do, dumbass. Right. Roger was rich before he bought in. I was rich before I bought in. All the other fuckers that own all the Bitcoin, they're rich too. So if you're not already Bitcoin rich, you ain't never going to be Bitcoin rich. Everyone else is going to be richer than you because you're a little tiny fish.
Right? I don't necessarily know that. I look at Bitcoin more as a fuse, I think, than anything else. What do you mean? A fuse, it's something that's been lit to kind of light a fire for a much bigger explosion.
The pin that pops the bubble that is the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, you've got a lot of Bitcoin maximalists, and then you've got a lot. I personally believe in altcoins. I believe that altcoins are going to be a part of what pushes Bitcoin that much further. I think that
it's Bitcoin's primary use case is buying alts.
Yes, it's a store. If it's a store of value, it's what people are going to use to get in and out of altcoins. It's the altcoins,
or it's a utility token for margin exchanges. That's the only two things Bitcoin really is used
right. For. And so for me, I look at the use cases and the technologies that are being disrupted through the development of different altcoin projects, and how that's going to affect the world on a grand scale. It's not just about Bitcoin for me. And right. So yeah, we'll be able to dive into that. I mean,
sure.
But yeah, so you got into Bitcoin, and then for whatever reason, I guess maybe it's just because of the logical way that you seem to think. I just assumed you were a developer.
Well, I know a lot about development, and I know a lot about software and hardware, and it's because it's how I spend my time. So every day I go on Hacker News and I read the first 4 or 5 pages. It's usually 5 pages. If you want to read 100 links, you got to read 5 pages. And I'll read every single interesting link. And when you first start doing that, many years ago, you don't understand anything they're talking about, not a single word. And then as you spend years reading, all the words, and you understand the design choices and the trade-offs, and it's like the difference between being an MMA fighter and being an MMA commentator. They're just different skill sets, right? So I have the skill set of knowing what languages to choose when, and what design principles are better, and what O scaling looks like big O theory, big O notation. And which is just like, if you design it with this format, it's going to scale with this way. If you design it with this format, it's going to scale this way. And for this kind of problem, you should use this type of algorithm to get this type of good scaling, right? So I'm a good generalist, and I know how to make good design choices. However, when it comes to actually writing code, I suck at it. Like, I'm slow, right? I have to look up every function. Like, okay, how do I do multiplication in this language again? Oh, MUL. Okay, fine. And then it's different in every language, right? So you have to learn this new syntax shit. So if you're logical and you want to build something in software, it's just numbers and math. That's all it is. And I know numbers and I know math, right? And it's data storage. There's nothing. Software development's not actually hard. The hard part of software development is the damn syntax of how you get the machine to do what you want, right? Machine, I want you to do this and then this and then that, unless this happens, and then do that, right? So I can do that. I'm just not an expert at it. I am an expert at a lot of other stuff that's higher up the abstraction chart, right? So everything technical in this world has a level of abstraction. You can't be good at all levels. So there's the CPU, and then there's the BIOS that boots the CPU, and then there's the hardware that the BIOS lives on. And then there's the OS that lives on the CPU. And then there's the memory management in the OS. And then there's the application layer. And then there's the networking layer. And then there's the UI. And then there's UX. And you're like, oh, well, which one of these stacks do you want to be good at? Because you can't be good at all of them. And so you have to choose what level you're going to be at. And the most intelligent choice, if you care about money, is to be the closest to the money. The endpoints get to keep all the money. So would you rather be Amazon or FedEx? Amazon. Why? Because they're closer to the money. FedEx has Amazon as a customer. Amazon has human beings as customers, right? So the closer you are to the money, the more you'll get paid. That's why salesmen always get paid more than almost anyone else.
Okay.
So I'm a developer, but I'm just not as good a developer as I am a project manager, probably.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've done quite a bit of project management myself. So, okay. So I guess I have a little bit of an idea as to where you come from. I haven't made millions of dollars in crypto yet. So I'm one of those small fish. I've done well.
Mm-hmm.
I've changed my life for sure, for myself and my family, and I've got a lot going on. So had a good year, but by no means am I retiring tomorrow. So
I've been retired for 16 years.
That's great.
But my retirement doesn't look like most people's. I work hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are people that I don't know. I joke about how I want to retire at some point and then just do charity work the rest of my life. But I think my wife always laughs when I tell her that I would retire, because she just knows I could never shut me down.
Right.
It's like if I have a really good idea, or I see something happening and I feel like I could do it better, or I have to get into it, and then I try to learn everything I can, and then I want to turn it into a business. And I've tried all sorts of things, since I was a teenager. So
hold on for a second. My stream on my side is like, okay, I reconnected. You should be fine. Yeah, I agree with you. Like I like to do all the things too. I solder my own Swarovski XLR connector. I build my own keyboards. I weld. I used to do HVAC. I used to do construction. Build computers, overclock computers, delid them so that I can apply thermal material that's made of liquid metal so that they drop 20 degrees Celsius so I can overclock them harder. I've done all the things, right? Like, now the trick is you don't want to do all the things and then you're the only person that benefits from that.
Right.
You want to do things that scale and multiply and help millions of people. So if you can design a cryptocurrency that gets adoption, you have affected positively millions of lives. It's better than anything you could do personally for yourself. So it's kind of the magic to being successful, is being successful in ways that helps the maximum number of people.
So obviously we're heading into the discussion for HEX at this point, I assume. So, there's
nothing else interesting going on.
Right.
If you're mining, you're losing money. So
yeah, I mean, I think all mining right now is speculative anyway. I mean, it's let's
just buy the coins.
Yeah.
Skip the hardware and the fucking electricity.
At the prices right now, yeah.
Just buy the coins.
You're better off typically, I think, buying the coins. I did some calculations and if I had $65,000 and I were to just buy Bitcoin at, I think it was like 8,700, I think, even at the time. or buy 65 grand worth of mine. And crowmining.com, it's like, I make money and people buy miners, you know what I mean? But I've told people, like, just wait, because you're better off just buying Bitcoin at these prices, because the difficulties, it doesn't look like that's going down. And the one thing everybody talks about is having. But if you look at the difficulty charts, the difficulty doubles almost every 6 months anyway. So, and it doesn't seem like anybody really calculates that in over a long period of time.
My opinion is, if you backtest it, you're always going to have done better buying coins every single point ever in history, ever. Because I bought hardware with coins, and I saw how that worked out, and I wish I had the coins.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's just simple. When you take money and you turn it into mining hardware, you hope that you end up with more coins in the end than you could have just bought.
Right.
And the problem is that when you have difficulty that's always going up exponentially, half of the profit of your miner comes in the first week you receive it. And if you're delayed by 1 week because the people testing it decided to test it for an extra week, you've lost half of the mining profit that machine will ever make. So you're operating this razor thin margin because so many other people are jumping into the same thing. And this happens anytime in the world where you're doing the same business activity as other people. So if you read Peter Thiel's 0 to 1, he describes very clearly that competition's for losers. You want to do something no one else is doing.
Right.
And then you get all the pricing power, all the margin. Other people have to chase you. You have first mover advantage. You don't want to be a small fish in a big pond. You actually want to be a big fish in a small pond. So it's counterintuitive to a lot of people. So the fact that, you sell mining hardware and lots of other people do, and everyone knows that it's a thing that you can do, that's the reason it's not profitable, because everyone knows about it. Everyone's willing to do it and take that risk and speculate. And then the difficulty's retarded, right? So we're at 3 times lower than all-time highs price, but we're at all-time highs difficulty, which puts price pressure on the currency. Because in order to not go out of business and to pay your rent and your facilities bill, you've got to sell every coin you get. And you might still end up losing money. And you might have a lease, right? So if you've got a lease, then you've got to pay. You can't just default, right? They'll get a judgment against you. So you have to keep working, even if it's at a loss, because working at a loss, you at least still have some income, right? You can either work at a loss or turn it off and have a bigger loss, basically. So it's like HEX, when I told you about how everyone's actually a little fish and the bankers own everything, HEX solves that, because we murder the whales with penalties. 75% penalties, and most of them can't even claim.
So I'm going to stop you there. So I want to start at the very base level of this thing, and
sure.
And I want to let everybody know, like, Richard hasn't paid me a dime to do this. This is literally like an off the cuff kind of, screw it. It's 2:30 in the morning. Let's talk. I don't know anything about HEX other than
sure.
You did really well with it, apparently, in a very short period of time, and a lot of people hate you for it. That's all I really know at this point. So
you ain't seen nothing yet, man. Because it is not, HEX is not anywhere near close to where it's designed to go. It is designed to do amazing things.
Okay, so
we're just 11 days old now.
Explain to me the general idea of it. Let's start there. Like, what
sure.
created the idea, and then we'll branch out into other details.
So I thought, look at all these Bitcoin forks. They're so crappy. They're worth so much money. Why don't we make a new fork of Bitcoin, but allow people to speak Bitcoin value on the Ethereum network, right? We take your Bitcoin value and we say, hey, you were rich here. Now we're going to make you rich over here too. Because you can't talk across chains. And most of the new distributed finance stuff, it's on Ethereum, right? You want a stable coin? It's on Ethereum. You want distributed finance? It's on Ethereum. You want lower transaction fees? Ethereum, right? You want faster? Ethereum. So I thought, well, why don't we move it over there? And then I said, okay, well, that's a good idea. I like that. But how do we make sure people use it? How do we get adoption? And then we start rolling out the pumpamentals, right? And then how do we make sure the price goes up? More pumpamentals. And so what originally started out as just, well, let's do Bitcoin on Ethereum so that people that were rich in Bitcoin can be rich on Ethereum too. And then it turned into something far, far beyond that idea. Far, far beyond that idea. That I don't even mention that idea anymore. That's how far removed it is from the value chain. So what would Bitcoin's fundamentals? You could onboard for free with a freemium offer where you double click an EXE and they give you a pitiful amount of coins, literally just dollars. When I used to mine full 50 block reward blocks on my own with no pool, the shit was only worth $25 a block. Yeah, it was 50 Bitcoin, but Bitcoin was only 50 cents. So when I brag about that now, I actually realized that shit just meant you had $25. But everyone else that hears it is like, holy fuck, that's $500,000 every time, right? Back when it was 10K, but now it's like 750K per block or whatever. Well, whatever, you can do the math. So I think it might be half that, right? So 50 times, it'd be about 375K per 50 block reward at a 7,500 price. So, which I think we're at like 7,200 last I looked last night. So so now we've got Bitcoin that has two fundamentals: freemium onboarding, which gets people addicted into playing and watching and fucking around. And it's complicated enough to consume you for hours and be on your mind. And then the inflation rate drops in half every 4 years. That's the only two fundamentals Bitcoin has. That's it. Two fundamentals. I kind of popularized that term. Mm-hmm. If you want a 10% bonus on your HEX, go to pumpamentals.com. So the magic is, how do you get on people's minds and stay there? How do you freemium onboard people so that they get addicted and keep watching? And how do you design the supply so that it lowers, so that people see appreciation in USD, which creates a virtuous cycle of, oh, the price is up, I better buy more. The price is up, I better buy more. The price is up, I better buy more. Right? That stuff. Right? So so I just hit every one of those targets. So how do we freemium onboard people? We make it so that you can claim for free as a Bitcoin holder. If you're a Bitcoin holder and you had Bitcoin on December 1st at 7 p.m. EST, then you can free claim. Costs you 1 cent, 1 penny in Ethereum transaction fee. Or you can mine your own block, but it's a lot harder. And what does that mean? It means that you choose the contract code, which is the HEX contract. You run that code and you mint your own coins, just like a Bitcoin miner. So when Bitcoin miners mine, they invent their own rewards and the network looks at them and says, oh, that's legit. You deserve this. You can use this, right? Everyone agrees that what you did was good. It met the rules of the network, and now you can spend those coins. HEX is the same as Bitcoin in that you mine your own coins, you mint your own coins. They can't exist without you. You're the only person in the world that could do it. You're the only person that has your private key. You're the only person that could make that signature from Bitcoin wallet. And therefore, you're the only person that can mint your free HEX. No one else in the world can do it for you.
So to mint these new coins, you have to have your Bitcoin private key that you use for this?
Well, you just need to have a wallet that has the sign function. Oh. So Bitcoin Core has the signing function. Electrum has the signing function. Coinomi has the signing function. There's a lot of Bitcoin wallets that allow you to sign statements from your Bitcoin address. It just says, hey, I have the key. I could have spent the money, but instead of spending the money, I'm just going to write a statement that says, yo, look, this was mine. Right? And so you go to go.hex.win. If you want 10% extra, go to pumpamentals.com first. It's got to be in the same browser. So you go to go.hex.win, you install MetaMask, you copy your Bitcoin address, you paste it into the claim window, you click claim, it looks up your balance and says, cool, give it a shot. Go ahead and claim, sign the statement. And the statement is claim HEX2, and then it's your Ethereum address. And then you copy that out, you paste it in your Bitcoin wallet, you click sign, you copy the signature, you paste it back in, you click submit. If you have 1 penny of ETH, you're done. You just minted your HEX. I would have put a video up that's 1 minute and 24 seconds long. Shows you how to import your keys to Electrum if your wallet sucks and you need an import to a good wallet that allows you to sign. Stake, claim, everything in 1 minute and 24 seconds with me talking slowly. So if I speed ran it, you could do it in 10 seconds, 15 seconds. It's trustless. It's safe. You don't ever put your private keys online. You don't ever have to be online to sign. You can sign offline. Just take a memory stick or copy paste or whatever you want to do. Write it on a piece of paper.
So how many coins are you getting? Like, what are you minting?
So if you had claimed the first day, then you would receive a 20% bonus. Now that you're a week late, you're missing 2% of that bonus. That bonus will continue to go down until the last possible day you could claim, which is day 350. After that day, you can't claim anymore. It's over. Further, you will bleed. Every day that you don't claim, you're giving your coins away to the people that did claim and staked. Not claim. I retract that part about claiming. Every day that you don't make your free claim, you bleed some of your coins, and they're all gone over 350 days. There's none left. And the people who will receive those coins that you didn't want, they will go to the stakers. And so the people that believe in the project and stake and lock their coins up will receive what you lost. So it's the carrot and stick. You get in early, we get you a bonus. You don't get in early, we start hammering you with penalties.
But what dictates how many coins you get at all? Like, is it like
it's your Bitcoin times, it's 10,000 base rate and then 20% bonus. You know,
so 10,000 hex coins plus 20% per Bitcoin owned?
Plus 10% if you use pumpamentals.com or somebody else's referral. They all work the same. Yeah. So you'd end up with, like, you know, if you claim the first day, which, you know, it's only weekend. So we're just going to use those numbers because it's easier. So if you had a whole bit, and you can claim with a single Satoshi, and people have, you can claim one Satoshi worth of value, or you can claim as many Bitcoins as you want. So if you have a Bitcoin, you get 10,000 base rate, 20% speed bonus, 10% referral bonus. That would be 12,000 times 1.1, which would be 13,200. So you're going to get 13,200 hex per Bitcoin that you free claim.
Okay, so I just went and over a minute and a half I free claimed. Now I've got.
You already did it.
I didn't. I'm just saying, like, hypothetically. Okay.
Yes.
So I
thought, because you could have already done it while we're on the call.
Sure. Well, I have to pay attention to what you're saying first.
Yeah.
So I do that. I've got two questions there. How did you amass so much Ethereum if everybody's just free minting these coins?
Well, there's three ways to get hex. There's 4 ways to get hex. One, you can buy it from an exchange. And you ask, well, where did those come from? Well, they came from 3 places. You can refer people. You get 20% as a refer on top of their stack after bonuses. So if, you know, that guy that got 13,200 we were just talking about, because he got in the first day and he claimed a Bitcoin and he used a referral link, the guy that referred him got 20% on top of that. So one, you could be a refer. That's free. You don't need to have anything but an Ethereum address. And you can go to metamask.io in your browser and have an Ethereum address in 1 minute. 2, you can free claim your hex. Or 3, you can use the adoption amplifier. The adoption amplifier transforms Ethereum into hex. Now, how many coins are available through that? Not as many as come from the big payout and big payday of all the unclaimed coins. So every day, a copy of the unclaimed coins gets given to the adoption amplifier. So tomorrow, the adoption amplifier will have 1/350th of the unclaimed coins. And the next day, it'll have 1/350th of the unclaimed coins. And the next day, it'll have 1/350th of the unclaimed coins. So it just gets a copy of the unclaimed coins, and it allows you to transform Ethereum into them. And how it works is there's a bucket that has hex in it. Right now, I think I might as well just look, actually. Let me take a look. Should be around 500 million. Go.hex.win. And we go to go.hex.win. And it takes around 20 seconds to load. Yeah, faster. Yay. There's 512 million hex available to the adoption amplifier. So at the end of the day, those 512 million hex will be given by proportion to the people that threw Ethereum into a bucket. So there's an empty bucket at the beginning of the day. People put Ethereum in it. At the end of the day, if you're 10% of the Ethereum bucket, you get 10% of the hex. If you're 20% of the Ethereum bucket, you're 20% of the hex. If you're 1% of the Ethereum bucket, you get 1% of the hex. At the end of the day, the bucket's empty. Next day, new buckets. And that happens for a total of 351 days. We're on day 12 now. So that's like, what, 349 or something? 339.
Okay, so I guess, so I understand you can buy them, you can free mint them if you're a Bitcoin holder. Mm-hmm. What's the point?
Or you can use this adoption amplifier.
Like, what do they do?
Well, it's the world's first blockchain CD. So if you go to your bank and you look at what products they offer a savings account, they offer a time deposit, and they offer a checking account. Nobody uses checks anymore. So really what they offer is a savings account and a time deposit account. Now, why do people use a time deposit? Because it pays more interest. Well, how much more interest does it pay? Depends how long you lock up. The longer you lock up, the more you get paid. Every extra year that you lock your money, they give you about 20% more interest. So we just copied that, what works at your bank, the second most popular product at your bank. We copied that and we put it in HEX. Every extra year that you stake, you get 20% more shares. So that's $7.2 trillion market in the United States and China. It's a larger market than printed currency. So it's a larger market than what Bitcoin was designed to address. Bitcoin was designed as peer-to-peer currency, digital cash. That's a smaller market than what we address, which is the entire market Bitcoin does with lower fees and higher security, which I can explain to you later, but also time deposits, which Bitcoin does, but it can't reward you. You can lock your Bitcoin. You can use check, lock, time, verify, and lock your coins up, but you'll receive no reward. You just won't be able to spend them. HEX monetizes time. It's the first cryptocurrency in the world to have a chart of future market supply. You can see when coins are going to be available coming off of stake. You can choose to stake your coins and have them unstake when other people aren't. And then you're not going to hit the market. You're not going to have as much supply shock. So we should have a better Sharpe ratio with less volatility. And we should have, we're able to replace the second most popular product at the bank, and no one else can. There's no other cryptocurrency that does what HEX does. So what started out as, hey, let's put Bitcoin value on Ethereum, transformed into this miraculous, amazing thing that is an unaddressed market. And it has every single thing that scams have. So scams have referral programs. Amazon has a referral program. Tesla has a referral program. So does HEX. Does Bitcoin have a referral program? Nope. Bitcoin used to be given out for free. That's how I got some of mine. Can you get free from most cryptocurrencies? No. Can you get free from Bitcoin now? No. But you can get it from HEX. So HEX has a referral program. It has freemium onboarding. It has more complex game theory that absorbs you for more hours, and you get more time on site. Every single day, you're going to be looking at whether you can get a good deal on the AA system or not. We've got a year of speculative stickiness that's just not going away. So we've got over 146,000. Let me look this up right quick. So our community is amazing. They keep building all these free tools. And so one of them is called HexStat. And it's a bot that just tells you what's going on with the network. So right now, I can tell you the last time this bot was updated, which was, I guess, 8 hours ago, there were 146,622 Bitcoin that claimed their free HEX. That's over $1 billion. Every time I look at this, every day, it goes up about 1,000 or 2,000 Bitcoin every day. This is a 11-day-old project. We're on day 12 now.
What I don't understand is if people can mint their own HEX tokens just by owning Bitcoin, why wouldn't they just buy the Bitcoin and mint their free tokens instead of just buying HEX directly?
Because you can't time travel back to December 1st on 7 p.m. EST. So you had to have done that before. But now that it's already, snapshot has occurred, can't go back in time. That's the other thing that's so important about the adoption amplifier is our referrers can onboard anyone that has access to Ethereum.
So you're saying that so you can still do it. You just had to have owned Bitcoin prior to that date.
Yep.
Okay.
And remember, you're bleeding every day you don't claim.
Right. Okay.
And you will have nothing left on day 350.
So basically, you're saying that everybody that didn't own Bitcoin on December 1st, you're no longer able to mint them because you'd be going out after the fact buying Bitcoin, trying.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. You got it very quickly. You understand it. Yep. So we've got every pumpamental imaginable, except fake partnerships. Right. That seems to be real popular in cryptocurrency.
Well, then you're slacking there, Richard. So
you know what? The community is very effective. They have created a real-time visualization and audio bot that shows you anytime anyone does anything with HEX, stakes it, claims it, anything. It's called hexviz.xyz. That's VIZ.
You've had all this shit popping up from the community just in the past 12 days?
Yes. It's crazy. It's insane. Like the community is sick. Like they're awesome. So we've got a Telegram bot that tells you every single thing that happens, and then you can choose. Like, I only want to see this, I only want to see that, and it has like a panel of options. That's called Hex Win Bot on Telegram, t.me/Hex Win Bot. We've got a whale watcher on Twitter, which watches what Bitcoin whales, or rather what HEX whales are doing. You know, giant guy decides to stake for some period. That's twitter.com/whalehex. We've got a chart of future market supply that you can zoom into each time frame and look at when people are going to be ending their stakes, when their stake expirations are set. That's at hexstat.com. And he's also got a bot, same guy, and that's t.me/hexstat. So when I tell you how many Bitcoins have been claimed, I use his tool to look it up. When I tell you, how much revenue how much ETH has been transformed into HEX, I look it up on his bot. So for instance, right now, the biggest claim that's ever been made was 2,146 BTC. There's 85% of HEX is staked. The circulating supply is 2.6 billion. Sorry. The number of claims was 146,622. That's over $1 billion of Bitcoin in 11 days.
So
we also got, let me give you one last stat. Mm-hmm. You might like this stat. People have sent to the contract over $5.5 million of Ethereum to be transformed into HEX in 11 days.
Insane.
Yeah. And this is with $0 spent marketing. Not a single dollar has been spent marketing. Now the referrers, they purchased some referrer. You can look it up, right? It's in archive.org. You can see what his referral address is. He bought the front page of the Pirate Bay for 3 days, I think. And I think he got 5 million HEX as a referrer. He might've got more now. You'd have to look again to see if he got more claims out of it. It works on claims or on the adoption amplifier, either way, somebody put some ads out, I think yesterday. I saw them on Bitcoin Wisdom. I saw banner ads. And then I had other people that sell banner ads contacting me saying, hey, we see your advertising. I'm like, I'm not, but someone is. Cool. Thanks for letting me know. And then I tweeted it. I'm like, hey, look, it looks like a referrer is running some advertising, right? And it's great because you can tell which referrers are going good because it's public.
Right.
So there's no mystery. You can tell like what ads are working and what ads aren't, even if you're not the guy that placed them, because you can see the conversion, right?
So just because I don't want to get too lost.
Sure.
So far I think I kind of understand fundamentally what this is.
Mm-hmm.
When does it go pop? I mean, because it doesn't sound like this is self-sustaining forever. This has to end at some point.
Well, this launch phase ends in 339 days.
So launch phase, you're calling it.
Right. So this is a period where we go from 0 coins to hundreds of billions of coins, where people had nothing and then they have lots. And people are dividing up and deciding who's going to control this thing for the future. Who's going to have the biggest parts?
Hundreds of billions?
Yes. Yep.
So ultimately, the coins you have today, wouldn't they be just diluted in value over time as more coins go into the ecosystem?
Not if you're the one that's getting all the inflation. See, the problem with Bitcoin is that when it inflates, it goes to people that aren't you. And then it gets sold on market to push the price down to pay for electricity to pollute the environment, because that's a security model. Requires waste. And it works.
But what's the actual use case to drive the use of so many coins? Like, who cares if I had 50 billion kumquats? You know what I mean? If they don't do anything.
Listen, if you look at the top 100 cryptocurrencies, Dogecoin's worth $250 million.
Right.
We do not live in a world where utility is tied to price whatsoever.
Yet.
I can tell you that HEX.
Yet.
Sure. Yeah, I hope that it one day becomes that way. HEX is more secure than Bitcoin, has more virality than Bitcoin, has more things going on. Like it is better than Bitcoin except for liquidity, because it takes time to build that up. Retail adoption, lol. There's 1,800 sites you could spend your Bitcoin on. Most people don't. I'm sure that maybe next year there'll be 700 sites, right? Right. So we're more secure, faster, freemium. Everything's better than Bitcoin except for liquidity and retail adoption. And I guess in theory, maybe if something tier 2 becomes successful on top of Bitcoin, then you could claim Bitcoin was part of that too. So that should be enough, right? That should be enough. But it's actually more than enough, because in cryptocurrency, all you need is people to believe. If they believe, the price goes up. If people press the green button and they don't press the red button, the price goes up. And in HEX, it's harder to press the red button because you're locked up. You're locked up. So how are you going to sell if you're locked up? You can't. You can emergency end stake. If you emergency end stake, man, you could nuke your account. You could nuke it to zero. You better know what you're doing. It's an advanced feature. I would suggest you be very careful about using the emergency end stake feature, because you could literally zero your account.
To me, it almost sounds like a game of Hungry Hippos. And it's, in a sense, it is, because it's... But I don't understand where the FOMO is coming from.
I think at some point, this thing will drop 85% or 95%, like so many other coins.
What will drop?
Every single coin in crypto that's not a stable coin tends to drop 85 to 95%.
Yeah, we've just seen that.
Right. So people ask me questions that don't make any sense. They're like, "How can it go up forever?" I don't think it will.
I didn't say go up forever. I said go on forever.
Not you. You didn't ask a silly question. I'm saying other people. I try and tell you to the best of my ability the most truthful answer that I can. I think cryptocurrencies are volatile. I think they can go to zero, and I think it's very, very common that they drop 85 to 95%. Bitcoin's done it at least 3 times.
Because I feel the whole market's been boosted off of speculation, and a lot of people jumping in without understanding exactly what the hell it is.
There isn't anything else. Right, but look, Amazon dropped 95% too.
Sure.
And now it's 50% of all commerce on the internet in the United States every year.
Yeah, we haven't even, I feel like we, as a new industry, I don't feel we've even come close to tapping into the potential of what this technology will open up for people.
No, for sure. No one even uses it.
Honestly,
wait till people use it. Wait, watch the prices then. Like,
from what I'm hearing, I mean, it sounds like a fun game. In a sense, like, especially if you're able to just mint free tokens because you happen to have some Bitcoin and you're not losing anything. In that regard, it sounds kind of like a fun game, but in a sense, it does kind of sound a bit Ponzi-ish. But
it does, and because we use we use similar language and similar tactics to successfully onboard users, and we do that to starve Ponzi's of their life's blood. So, like, let's take BitConnect, right? BitConnect had 2 top promoters. One was Trayvon James, and one was Craig Grant. They both now promote HEX. Why? Is it because someone reached out to them and told them to? Nope. It's because they knew that the design was going to pop off. They knew that it was going to be successful. So they're promoting it. And guess what they're not promoting? Some other bullshit. So every single referrer and every single person that we can onboard to an audited, openly verifiable, trustless peer-to-peer network like HEX, that's one more user and one more perhaps dollar that isn't going to a scam. That's one more hour of attention that isn't going to a scam. If you hate scams and you want to see scams die, there's only one actual way to kill them off, and it's by outcompeting them for resources. If you complain to your legislator,
create a crypto religion.
Well, I mean,
just make it a
kind of crypto doesn't. Crypto is kind of a religion to a lot of people. And anything a person puts all their focus and energy into, and all their money into, boy, they're going to be real passionate about.
Well, a lot of the since we started, a lot of the trigger words and a lot of the the terms you've used, it sounds like you're describing a techno religion, like.
Thanks.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny. I mean, but there are a lot of similarities in the sense of, tell your friends you must believe, and I mean, this is the start of a whole new L. Ron Hubbard book. I mean,
you know what? If you take the tactics that are successful for scams and you use them for something good, you can make a real big difference.
So tell me what makes it good. What separates this from the BitConnects of the world, or the Devore coin, or whatever bullshit everybody started jumping into when BitConnect crashed? This sounds infomercial, but I'm not trying to be. I just genuinely want to. I feel like we're kind of breaking. I've seen you do so many interviews and nobody asks you any fucking questions that mean anything. They're just yelling at you the whole time or whatever.
Usually.
So out of all the videos I've tried to watch to learn, I've never learned shit. So this is my opportunity to kind of figure out what the hell you're doing. So, but what makes a
cryptocurrency valuable? What makes a cryptocurrency good and wholesome? I believe it's that you have faith that it's not going to fail technically. So Bitcoin has had 2 bugs where anyone could print as many free Bitcoin as they wanted. One happened in 2010 and was executed, and someone printed 16 billion extra Bitcoin, and they had to roll the chain back. Oops. Total critical failure. Total 100% failure. They did the same thing again. They had the same problem again last year. A Bitcoin Cash developer discovered that anyone could print as many free Bitcoin as they wanted, and he responsibly disclosed it instead of using it. And then the core developers patched it and saved the network from that horror of complete and total failure. That's twice Bitcoin has critically failed in the worst way possible. Ethereum has never had that problem. Ethereum has never had an inflation bug, let alone the two that Bitcoin has had. HEX runs on Ethereum and is perhaps even more secure than Ethereum. And this is an interesting and technical thing that it's deep. Bitcoin has technical problems because it is spaghetti code. If you try and improve one thing, you create 10 other bugs and 10 other things because everything's interlinked. There's no modularity. HEX is modular. Our consensus code lives in an immutable smart contract. It has been audited 3 times. Twice security by Chain Security and CoinFabric, and once economics audit by CoinFabric. Got a mathematician to do it. 2 of those are published on the homepage of pumpamentals.com, or if you don't want the 10% bonus, hex.win. Just scroll down to Ethereum or security or Control F for CoinFabric with a K, and you'll see the audits. Because of that modularity, it is much harder to introduce an inflation bug to nearly the point of impossibility, really. I mean, it would have to be crazy maliciousness on purpose to screw up the consensus code to make that not work. So HEX is more secure and audited than Bitcoin is. And it's running on a system that hasn't shown the same types of failures that Bitcoin has. And that's the real world. Now, what's funny to me is that everyone thinks that Bitcoin is more secure than Ethereum. And they think that because the reality doesn't match that. The reality shows that Bitcoin has had 2 critical, possible, worst imaginable bugs, and that Ethereum has had 0. That's what the reality shows. But people fantasize and dream that Bitcoin's more secure because of higher hash rate. And people are just stupid. They don't understand what hash rate's good for. So I have to explain to them, listen, if I increase the throughput and the hash rate of Bitcoin by 10-fold personally myself with some extra hardware, would that improve Bitcoin security? Nope.
Weaken it.
Exactly.
Like
So
China
what matters
right
is
now
not
can
hash
shut down
rate.
Bitcoin if it wants.
Exactly. Well, even worse than shut it down, they could partially censor transactions, and then it wouldn't be bad enough for a lot of people to switch. They'd just deal with it, and then it would critically harm. It would be like poisoning it instead of killing it, and then just giving it a slow death kind of thing. 65% of mining is in China for Bitcoin.
Only need 51% of it.
Well, you only need about 35%, and then you can't roll back every transaction, but you can roll back a large portion of them. So people don't even understand the 51% attack properly. If you have a third of the mining hash power, you can 51% attack some of the transactions. It'll work sometimes. You won't be able to do it always. If you have 51%, you'll be able to always win every single time you try and steal. So yeah, we have a more secure, HEX is more secure than Bitcoin, faster, more affordable. You can get it for free, and you're getting in when it's 11 days old. Imagine if you could buy Bitcoin back when it's $1. That's what this is like.
So what happens to the Ethereum? Like, where did the Ethereum go? Is it just, are you getting more jewelry?
It will never, ever benefit you. It will never, ever, ever benefit you. So there's this law in the United States called the Howey test, and it states that securities are where people put money into a common pool with the expectation of profit solely from the effort of others. And if that happens, then you can't list on a crypto exchange because you have to be a broker dealer in order to deal securities. So if you want to list your token on a crypto exchange, then you need to not be a security. In order to not be a security, you need to not fail all 4 legs of that test. And so, we make sure that 1, you're doing all the work. No one else can mint your coins. No one else can mint your rewards. Only you can do those things. You are the network, period. So there's no one doing any more work than you. There's no one doing equal work to you. You are doing all the work. Second, you also receive no promises of any effort whatsoever from anyone. So where's the Ethereum going? No place that'll benefit you. Oh, well, are you going to do this, that, or the other to expand the network? Nope. Richard, are you going to do anything at all for the network? Nope. Richard, can I rely on you to do anything? I'm not going to do shit for you guys. Nothing. I'm going to do nothing for you. The Ethereum is going to do nothing for you. This is not a security. If you want a security, go on the NASDAQ or go on the NICE. There's a lot of securities available there. You can give them your money. They'll manage it and try and grow it and try and give you back more. This is not that.
So basically, everybody's FOMOing to buy all these tokens so that they can stake or do whatever to generate more over the course of a year.
See, at the end of the year, there's no more inflation. At the end of the year, there's a maximum of 3.69% inflation. And it'll probably be far less than that because it's only paid out the end of a stake. And people's stakes, if you look at the chart, tend to end 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now. So that inflation gets pushed out to 5 to 10 years from now. So our actual inflation rate is far lower than 3.69%. Further, if you're an average size, average length staker, there's 0% inflation to you because you're the one being paid the inflation. Staking HEX is like getting free mining hardware and free electricity. All the inflation gets paid to you.
I get all that. I think I'm just trying to wrap my head around, is this the most brilliant, in-your-face, fuck you, pay me project? Or like, do you have some like secret, we're not going to disclose venture that we're going to be, like maybe you can't say, well, we're going to be using these millions of dollars worth of Ethereum to fund further development on projects associated with it. So you can't say that. So basically,
no. But I'm also going to go as far to say is you shouldn't.
Like if you're
that's
not
100% not true. I could die right now. Let me tell you how valueless I am. I could die right now and hex.win could go offline and nothing changes. Everyone can go.
That. That's not what I mean.
You can go to etherscan.io and do everything.
I'm not saying that the network will die or the crypto will go away or anything like that. I'm just saying that, it just doesn't seem
I'm
like
a pitifully small.
Like you made
I'm a pitifully small YouTuber.
You made a comment earlier that a lot of how many of these projects, how much of their value is related to their use case. Because so much of the investments that have gone into ICOs haven't necessarily been as much about use case, but more speculative value, the idea of the use case, the idea of the team or the company, and so forth. Right now, there's no idea. There's not only is there no idea, you're flat out saying there is nothing. Like
no, but you're confusing. HEX is the opposite of an ICO. An ICO is where you make huge promises. And then you hope to build something and you take everyone's money.
I get that.
HEX is fully functional and complete now. It's fucking done. It's amazing now. Nothing needs to be added to it. Nothing needs to be changed. It's fucking perfect now. So there's no need for anyone to do shit.
What's the value of a HEX coin right now?
I think the largest volume exchange is called ByDesk, BIDESK. And the pair that most people trade on is the Ethereum pair. Because there's better resolution. So I think in sats, we're like maybe 3 or 4 sats. And then in Ethereum, we're, let me look. We're 5 zeros, 149 on the Ethereum side. So if you go to bydesk.com / well, I mean, I could just send you the link if you want. It's too hard. So if you go on ByDesk, well, I can tell you the sat price here. So HEX in sats is 3 sats, 3 Satoshis per HEX. This is an extremely illiquid market. So right now, I think you could buy the whole order book and set whatever price you want for 2 Bitcoin in either direction. So if you want to spend 2 Bitcoin and 10x the price, I think you could do that. And if you want to spend 2 Bitcoin and drive it to 1 sat, you could do that. Last time I looked. Well, I mean, actually, I'm looking at it now, so I'll do the math for you. Let me get on the BTC pair. So on the BTC pair, you could sell it down to 1 sat for a total of so many digits here. 968, 919, 329.
So they're very, 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 very cheap.
I think for 2 Bitcoin, you could just empty the order book if you wanted to.
So
it's not really good price discovery yet.
Not knowing you,
we're on 9 exchanges, by the way. So
not knowing you, basically
exchanges.
the world, everybody that's buying these coins is. How many of them do you think are expecting you to further enhance either the network or its use case or partnerships or stuff that makes the value greater and withstands the test of time?
I don't think anyone is, because I've never even hinted at that as a possibility ever. I don't think anyone thinks that I'm doing that, because I'm not doing that. So I've never mentioned potential partners. I've never done anything along those lines.
I asked that because with it being such well, we're not a security and this is why, and I'm telling you we're not doing any of these things because we're not a security. And some people, including myself, could look at that as kind of a veiled way of saying, I can't tell you we're going to do things to make this better, but we probably are.
I don't want you to feel that way. I want you to believe that I'm doing absolutely nothing. So look at Dogecoin. Dogecoin is worth $250 million. Who's the hero on their team that's responsible for all that? Fucking nobody. Right.
Well, it started.
Okay, here's Monero, right? What's Monero worth? Right. Like, look at any of these. This idea that you have to have some hero that makes shit happen, that is not the case in HEX.
I don't necessarily believe that.
Like,
I just think
everything that's happening in HEX, the community is doing. The community is doing everything in HEX, and they're doing amazingly well at it. Like, it's, I can't work any harder than I'm working, and I couldn't do 1/10 of what has already been done. We're on 9 exchanges in 11 days from scratch. Bitcoin.com just listed it. This is the first time I've told anybody about that. So Bitcoin.com now has an exchange, and HEX is on that exchange.
Okay.
They've got an Ethereum pair and a BCH pair. What else? It's on ByDesk, it's on EtherDelta, it's on ForkDelta, it's on Tags, who apparently makes you KYC before they let you withdraw, which people aren't very happy about, and apparently has bad support. It's on some exchange called vsex.pro, which looks like they have a volumizer running fake transactions or something. But apparently, like, they do actually let you withdraw and stuff. Yeah, so in 11 days, we've got like 6 new websites and 9 or 10 exchanges, and it's just, that's 11 days in, man. Imagine what will it be like in 20 days, and what percentage of these things am I responsible for? 0%. Had nothing to do with these things.
I guess I don't know. I guess for me, it's difficult to wrap my head around. I mean, look, I can say this, it doesn't sound like you're deceiving anybody. I mean, it sounds like you're flat out saying, I'm getting mama pregnant and I'm bailing on you. You're on your own. See you when you're grown. I mean, that's basically what it sounds like you're saying to everybody. So
I am not that important. Other YouTubers produce more content for HEX than I do. Other people, everyone is doing more work than me. Like, I am not able to match the effort of all of these other people. Like, you're the network, man. And when you say everyone's buying these coins, not that many people are buying them. They're minting them themselves.
Well, when you say you brought
people
in
that are buying HEX
$5
on exchange
million worth of Ethereum,
that's not you buying them. It's a very unique, very weird situation. You are not buying those coins. You are minting your own coins.
And what are they spending the Ethereum on?
Well, nothing that benefits them. See, this is what I mean about the uniqueness.
So we're getting into semantics over here.
Well, that's the difference between jail and no jail, right?
You being a security, so, like, I guess.
I'm partial to the no jail, right?
Sure.
So if you go to an awards dinner, and the awards dinner are just for people that ran a marathon. Huh. Did you pay for that dinner by running the marathon? No, it was just a prerequisite for your attendance.
Let me tell you what I know about the United States government. If this goes south in any direction and enough people call the SEC complaining, they will figure out a way to make sure that all of your perceptions on what is a security are thwarted and hit a wall. And I'm not wishing that on you. I'm just saying that, a project like this to me sounds scary. From that perspective,
don't invest.
Yeah, oh no, I'm not saying it from an investment. I'm saying for your sake. Just I hope it all goes well. Yeah. Is all I'm saying.
If you want to talk about risk profiles. I very, very, very firmly believe that Bitcoin is not a security. And I very, very firmly believe that the SEC has declared Ethereum as not a security. And I very, very firmly believe that the SEC settled with EOS, which was a security. And so we've got Bitcoin as not a security. Ethereum launched as a security and then became one. It became not a security. And then EOS launched as a security and then got a waiver and an approval to operate. In a world like that, where real securities can launch and then be okay, how the fuck is HEX, that is never been a security and has never promised anyone shit ever and is fully functional at launch, and you're the one that's doing all the work, how the hell is that going to have a problem whenever on all those other things have been okay?
Something tells me you might find out, man. And I'm not trying to be.
They want to waste their time and do. And so if you shut down HEX, you know what you're going to get? You're going to get more scams because everything's worse. HEX is a good, honest, audited, open source project.
I mean, at the very beginning of this, you said that you're trying to do something that helps millions and millions of people.
Trying to, yeah.
I still haven't figured out how this helps them. I guess that's because all the money's
going. Do you like counterparty risk?
Do what?
Do you like counterparty risk? Do you like watching people lose all their coins because they tried to gain on them by giving them to a central counterparty? So you give your coins to Finex loses your coins. You give your coins to Quadriga CX, they lose your coins. You give your coins to BTC, they lose your coins. You give your coins to Mt. Gox, they lose your coins. You give your coins to some Ponzi scheme, they steal your coins. There's time after time after time after time, everyone's losing all their coins. They don't even have possession of their own keys. What does HEX do? HEX gets you to get possession of your own keys. It gets you to be responsible for your own finances by allowing you to pay yourself in HEX for that privilege. Right? Oh, you were smart enough to have your own keys. Guess what? Now you get to mint your own HEX. Congratulations. We're improving crypto security by giving people the ability to pay themselves for having better security. Second, we're removing counterparties. Crypto is designed to remove counterparties, less middlemen. And what is everyone doing? The opposite. They're giving all their fucking keys and all their fucking coins to middlemen like BitGo, like Celsius, like BlockFi, like all these fucking guys that hold your coins, and then you beg and hope and pray that you ever see your coins again. That's worse for the world. And HEX solves that because you mint your own rewards, you mint your own coins directly with the software. It gets rid of all those fucking counterparties. We also get rid of pollution. So Bitcoin miners are overpaid and it's a protection racket. Who are the people that they're protecting you from? Themselves. There's nobody else out there in the world that could 51% attack you except them. It's a fucking protection racket and it's disgusting. And they push the price down to pollute the environment. And we get rid of that shit. We don't pay inflation to miners. Miners make 1 penny of ETH per transaction currently. They don't get paid fucking $1 million an hour like they do in Bitcoin. That's $1 million an hour in Bitcoin that's paid to those fuckers to dump the price. So we get rid of the asshole miners. We get rid of the overpayment. We get rid of the pollution. We get rid of the counterparty risk. And we kill the scams by starving them of attention. This is amazing, amazing, amazing shit that no one else is doing. And it's working. And it's working in front of your eyes. Over $1 billion of Bitcoin has free claimed in 11 days. There's over 40,000 people that have staked, or 40,000 stakes that have occurred.
So
this is across maybe 8,000 people, I guess.
I mean, when you, just by what you're saying, and I guess a part of me is being devil's advocate, and it is almost 4 a.m. and I'm a little delirious at this point, but like, it sounds like, when the mob goes into a business and they say, pay us protection money and we'll keep all these other bad people away.
That's Bitcoin mining. You describe Bitcoin mining.
Well, I mean, okay, I guess.
Look, who are they protecting you from?
I don't know. If
who are the
miners
protecting you from?
You're protecting me from the next BitConnect.
Well, I mean, look, I wish that there were other ways that work to get rid of scams, but there's only 3 ways that can work. 1, the regulators get more funding and they have more investigators, and then the judges respond quicker with injunctions, and then maybe that can make an impact. But as it sits today, they're underfunded and they're understaffed, and they can only act post facto.
Who are you talking about? I know.
I'm talking about the attorney generals of the world. I'm talking about the FTC and the SEC.
I know the SEC is getting ready to blow up with staff because I know some. Yeah,
but that's just one country, man.
Sure.
That has to be in every country, and most countries, a lot of countries are just fucked, and they don't have the rule of law.
True.
And so in those countries, if you want to save people from losing their life savings to a scam, then you have to be able to get your message in front of them. which means you have to have margin. You have to have enough revenue from onboarding a new user to be able to advertise to them. HEX does that through its referral program. We were on the front page of the Pirate Bay because a referrer thought he could be cash positive doing that. We're in the mouths of Trayvon James and Craig Grant because they believe in the project. We're getting viral everywhere, and that starves these scams of revenue. This starves these scams of mind share and brain hours, and that means that these people don't have to get exit scammed because there is no exit scam in HEX. You are the network. The contract is audited. The price can go up and down. There's nothing anyone can do about that. All cryptocurrencies do that, but there's no like exit scam. So for instance, in these Ponzi's, what they do is they have a fake market, and then they set the price whatever they want, and then everyone thinks that they're getting something that's worth a lot because they set a fake price. HEX doesn't have that shit. We're on like 9 exchanges right now. That's the real price. You can buy into it. You can sell into it. There's no shady bullshit going on, right? That's totally unlike these exit scams.
Look, Richard, I'm not. I get what you're saying, and I can understand. I can understand your point of view on all of this. I do.
Look, you think it's a scam because everything that you look at is mostly a scam. First of all,
I think the word scam is thrown around way too loosely. I mean, scam anymore doesn't even have a meaning. I feel like if somebody doesn't like you, you're a scam. It's like saying, oh, well, your fart smells worse than this guy, you're a racist. It's like, it's all bullshit nowadays. I don't buy into any of that. So I don't necessarily think that this is a scam, because I think that you just showed up on everybody's doorstep and said, give me money, I'll give you something else that's never going to be worth a shit. Like,
you don't have to give anyone money.
Well,
you don't have to give anyone money.
You
don't have to give anyone Ethereum. If you don't want to give anyone Ethereum, don't. You can mint your coins for free, or you can refer people.
Well, you can't now.
You don't have to do shit with Ethereum. Nothing. Yes, you can.
You just said you couldn't after December 1st
You can free claim for 350 days after the snapshot, which was December 1st at 7 p.m. EST.
If you had held Bitcoin. But if you don't hold Bitcoin, you have to buy them.
No, you can be a referrer and earn them by getting someone to click.
I see. Okay.
So you can earn them, or you can get them for free, or you can just watch and just, chime in every once in a while and watch what's going on.
Did you ever play Entropia Universe?
No.
Okay. Because Entropia Universe, their economy is basically, it's a real cash economy MMORPG game. Mm-hmm. And, everything that you do in the game costs real money. And one of the ways that they get rid of, people saying, oh, well, this is an illegal casino, is that you can go and you can sweat sheep in the game.
Skill game.
For money. You get such a minuscule amount over a long period of time, but because of that, you can potentially and technically play the whole game without ever spending a dime.
So you realize Bitcoin pays dividends to people. You get inflation in Bitcoin every year, around 4% right now. Let's call it around 4% right now. Bitcoin inflates 4% every year. And it rewards people that just pollute the environment and sell the price down. But no one's fucking crying and whining and complaining about Bitcoin being a scam that just enriches those guys to get $1 million an hour. But that's the fucking reality, right? So I don't understand how you can build something, give it away for free, audit the shit out of it, and then people just can't understand that it's better. It's cheaper. It's more secure. It's given to you for free. It has better pumpamentals. It just came out. It's on 9 exchanges. Like, what the fuck more could you want? The only thing it's missing is anonymity. It has every other fucking thing you could want. I mean, more secure, cheaper. Like, what the fuck else am I supposed to add to this shit for you to be like, yo, this is good? And I don't get it. Like, what the fuck? Bitcoin's not that good, man. It's just, you have a fucking piece of software you run. You have a password. You have your private key. And it allows you to reduce your number to make someone else's number go up. That's all it fucking does. This is not hard to understand shit. It's just a digital ledger, right?
Yeah, I like I said, I'm not a hater. I mean, my personal perception of the whole project is to each their own. I don't necessarily think that this is. I think you catch a lot of hate because it sounds like you've accumulated a substantial amount of Ethereum in a very short period of time. But
if you think $5.5 million is substantial, it's not.
Well, maybe not to you, but to someone like me and to a lot of other people, it's a significant amount. I mean,
wait a year and then see where it's at.
Oh, I know.
And then you can talk about it.
Oh, trust me, I'm very well aware. I mean, if ETH's going to go back up, and when it does, I mean, that 5 million is going to look like nothing. But
you realize that we're day 12 into 351 days,
right?
Okay.
But that's the thing. It's,
I'm so like, if you don't like people giving people what they want and them losing value for what they want, then you don't like capitalism, because that's what capitalism is. People have something and they exchange that something for something else that they want.
Yeah, I get that, and I understand, really, but I also do believe that there are some responsibilities associated with that as well.
Like what?
Well,
when you buy my Bitcoin bag that I bought for 30, when you buy it for 20K, what responsibility?
You know what? I guess in this sense, I have to say that you are right, because you flat out said you're not getting shit. We're not building shit. Yep. You're doing all the work. It's like the pet rock. I mean, it's, like, you
realize this is cryptocurrency we're talking about. It's all pet rocks.
Well,
it's all pet rocks, dude. You're like, what the fuck? Like, what industry do you think you're in? There's no store that you can go to. Go to the Bitcoin store.
Power Ledger.
Go to the Bitcoin store.
Power Ledger isn't a pet rock.
Get support for fucking Bitcoin. Call Bitcoin support, bro. Call them up. Ain't no fucking support. Ain't no fucking store.
Sure.
This is crypto, man. Like, what the fuck? Like, where do you think the better thing is? They literally had to print as many free coins as you fucking want, bugs. And one of them was executed and they rolled it back. I get all that. There ain't no real in this game.
You're looking at it from your perspective. I look at it from mine. And they can differ.
And Power Ledger, let me tell you about Power Ledger. We're going to use a blockchain that burns and ass rapes electricity to try and make electricity more efficient. How stupid is that? Doesn't even make any fucking sense.
I mean, I guess.
Unless they're not proof of work. Are they proof of work? I think they use proof of work. I think they're on Ethereum. I think they're in ERC20.
Oh, yeah, they are.
I think they use proof of work. So I think they're just burning fucking electricity. So, like, I don't know, man. You like, that's some pretty scammy shit.
You think Power Ledger's a scam?
Yeah, I do. I mean, so here's my opinion. If you use the language scam to describe things that are fraudulent, it may not be fraudulent. There may not be any deception, and from that perspective, it's not a scam. But if you think it's a stupid, retarded business idea that's wasting everyone's time and money to get absolutely fucking nothing good done with the world, and everyone will end up losing overall, it'll be net loss for the universe. From that perspective, I think it's a scam. So it's not the fraudulent, accurate uses scam. It's the everyone is wasting their fucking time version of scam.
So,
right?
Okay. I mean, I agree.
Yeah. So tell me, I'll prove this to you very fucking quickly about how stupid those cocksuckers are and how stupid their fucking business is. Okay.
Power Ledger?
Power Ledger. And every other dumbass piece of shit, digital ledger technology, fucking jerk off, stupid dumbass startup.
Are you frustrated about something, Richard?
Yes, because I hate when people waste their fucking time. I hate it. I don't like inefficiency. I hate inefficiency. I like things to work better if I can make them work better. Bitcoin and blockchains is only useful if you fucking require censorship resistance. If what you're doing does not need and require censorship resistance, run the fucking far away as you can from a blockchain, because it is unreliable and slow and non-scalable and shitty and has hidden data rot. Oh, what's hidden data rot? It's when there's a fork. How did you know there was a fork? Because you have to have another real computer that has its own system state checking a fucking blockchain to make sure that you're on the right side of the fucking fork. So that what you thought was written to the blockchain didn't just get forked off and fucking orphaned.
You know what?
It's a piece of shit, horrible technology.
You know what blockchain technology also is? New. It's new.
It's not even.
It's new.
Barely, dude.
It's
barely.
Barely still new. And
10 years ain't fucking new in tech, man. It's not. 10 years ain't new in tech. Adoption might be new. People might decide to start using it.
Yeah, but
it's fucking tech.
What's going to drive? Well, in that sense, yeah, it is new. What's going to drive more innovation in the space?
I don't want to skip this. I want to explain why Power Ledger is such a piece of shit. I want to make sure people understand.
Well, because I've heard a lot of generalizations kind of thrown in there, so I'm kind of.
Is someone trying to censor your electric bill? Is someone trying to censor your electric bill? Nope. Okay, well then that's it. Game over. Stupid. Wrong technology choice. And you don't have to take my word for this. You can go to the National Institute of Standards, NIST.gov, and you can look up their fucking report on when you should use a blockchain. And they made a little flow chart, and it goes, do you need an immutable hegemon amongst untrusted parties? Okay, then you could use a blockchain. But if you trust anyone, you should use a different technology, which is auditing and logs and passwords and shit, because that's existed. You think Amazon's having any problem doing 50% of the internet sales in the United States using no blockchain? They're doing just fine.
Sure.
They're doing fabulously. The blockchain would not help their business. It would hurt their business because they fucking will sell you blockchain through AWS. They sell you blockchain, but they don't use it because it's a piece of shit. That's a reason there's nobody using blockchain, because it's mostly a piece of shit, because people look at it like a hammer, because I need censorship resistance. If you need censorship resistance, you need a blockchain, because anything that is like a currency or a financial product that hopes to have global adoption is going to require censorship resistance, because there's a lot of countries that have fucked up laws and they're not fair to people. So if you're making a currency, you need censorship resistance. If you're not making a currency, you can fucking forget about that shit. You don't need it. You can do it with Postgres. You can do it with MySQL. You can do it with Oracle. Any project in crypto that uses a blockchain that doesn't need censorship resistance is a fucking technical scam, period. Because they're using the wrong technology. They're fucking everyone over with some buzzword hype, word salad bullshit to get paid, when they could have used in a fucking SQL database and had everything work better and be faster and cheaper and more efficient and more reliable. And it's that simple. So censorship resistance.
I wish it wasn't 4 a.m. for me, because I would be much more useful in this discussion, but I feel like this has been a pleasure. I mean, I don't particularly have anything against you, Richard, and I don't necessarily think that.
I don't know why everyone keeps talking about me. I'm irrelevant.
No, but
look
you're
at the
not
code.
irrelevant.
Read the fucking code.
You're not irrelevant.
I am.
You planted the seed. You planted the seed in the project.
Plant the seed.
And
that's true. I planted the seed.
So it is what it is. If it goes amazingly,
I'm as relevant as Satoshi.
Cherished and loved, and if it goes south, you're going to be the one with 1 million people in your yard.
Well, fucking be ready, because it's crypto. At some point, it is going to, the price is going to go down at some point, right? Like, we designed a lot of things to try and help that be less, right? Because you can stagger your stakes where they end. And we're onboarding new users with good, mechanics and shit. So it's designed really well. It's designed to help have less volatility. It's maybe the first cryptocurrency in the world, other than a stable coin, to have that.
Well, if it starts,
I bet it still dumps at some point.
Dumps from where it is now. It's not.
Well, it's pretty fucking low.
Yeah, it's not much. It can't go much lower, man.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty. They'd have to change the exchanges to allow for more decimal places if you wanted it to go lower.
Right. But
which
if everybody's
buying,
why would there be a lot of volume, and why would there be a lot? I mean, it sounds like if you want more of them, you're staking them anyway. So I can't imagine why there would be too many sitting on an exchange.
The reason the exchanges are, so if you have a brand new exchange that doesn't have any users, and I'm the one that says, hey, look, there's a new exchange. Who's going to go to that exchange? People that have already got HEX. And where did they get the HEX from? The awesome trustless onboarding where they minted it themselves. So there's no counterparty risk. So what do they got? They got HEX. Okay, well, what are they going to do with the exchange? They're going to fucking sell it, right? Because what else? It's not like the exchange is bringing its own pool of buyers, because it's a fucking no-name exchange, right? So if a real exchange that has real users of their own, that have real fucking currency, that type of exchange lists HEX, which is very likely because good projects tend to get listed, right? And I think this is a good project. Then we can see, what the real market price is. But trying to do price discovery on an exchange where anyone could set the price for 2 Bitcoin to as high or as low as they want, that's not really good price discovery, especially when the only customers to that exchange are people that have got a bag of HEX, because otherwise no one's ever heard of the fucking thing, right? It's just not, there's a lot of caveats and pitfalls for looking at an illiquid exchange that only has one type of user on it. Let's see what it does when it's on a real exchange, right?
Well, I'm going to bed, Rich.
You know, EOS launched with the same system.
Huh?
You know, EOS launched with the same system and generated 4.2 billion.
I never touched EOS, and I still don't.
Yeah.
I have a lot of weird hiccups with EOS personally, but like I say, to each their own. I don't. I just stay away from.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you claim your free HEX? This shit takes a minute, and then use it, and then see how you feel. Because a lot of people that have never used it, they don't understand how good it is. Once you actually use it, then you're like,
but what am I going to use it for? That's the thing. It's when you say use it for what?
I don't know, dude. Go ahead and free claim it and then sell it. You go ahead and free claim it, and then 10% that's not auto staked, you go ahead and sell that shit on market. Go get paid, bro. Or send it to your friends, or fucking have a giveaway, or I don't care, man. It's an ERC20 token, of which there are many. I'm sure you've dealt with more ERC20s than I have. So you go ahead and do whatever the fuck you want with it. It's free.
Fair enough.
I mean, shit, you could do an expose on it and talk about what a scam it is and look how shitty it is and like tear it up, get some views or whatever. I don't know.
I have no, here's the thing about me, man. I'm not one of those like, I'm going to take a huge shit all over something or whatever just to get views. I mean, I'm not like I'm not Geraldo Rivera. Like that's not my thing.
You're not going to take a chair to the nose for ratings.
Yeah. I
don't think he wanted that chair to the nose.
I honestly, man, I look at it. Everything that I've seen, you've been very upfront. I mean, and if people want to buy into it for whatever reason, then it's their damn money. I mean, they do what they want. But what
would you have told somebody when Bitcoin came out when it was $1? What would you have told them? Scam. It's not going to be successful.
Honestly, man,
piece of shit.
I first heard about it in 2013, and I thought it was just some silly virtual game money. All right. And I
thought it was dumb when I heard it too. I thought it was a stupid idea when I heard it before $1.
I didn't necessarily think it was a stupid idea. I just didn't know enough about it. Otherwise, I'd be a billionaire right now. I mean, it's just I didn't understand the technology. I didn't understand its use. It sounded at the time, all I knew about it was that it was something that people used to hire hitmen, buy dope, and play video games and sell virtual swords and shit. That's all I really knew.
If HEX becomes more valuable than Bitcoin, and you didn't learn about it when it first came out, you're going to feel like an asshole.
How could it become more valuable if there are hundreds of billions of them?
Easily. Ethereum's already been more valuable than Bitcoin once on the year 2050 supply. It's easy. Bitcoin has less retail adoption, less on-chain volume, less search volume. It's technically crippled compared to Ethereum. Ethereum's rolling out new features and hard forking them in all the time. What's the last improvement you got in Bitcoin? 2 years ago, SegWit. Yeah, 2 years ago, SegWit, you got a 25% throughput increase. You had to lie, cheat, and steal to get rolled in and tell people you're getting 2 megabyte blocks, but then just get the SegWit and not give them the 2 megabyte blocks. Like, Bitcoin is fucked. It is absolutely fucked. Anything they build good is unlikely to get rolled in and forked in. So they can
Bitcoin doesn't really have to do anything else anymore.
Bullshit. Does it? That bullshit. There's only 2.8 million users with over $1,000 in a wallet. 42% of Bitcoin's owned by under 2,000 addresses. And those addresses each have over 1,000 Bitcoin in them. So we penalize them and murdered them with whale penalties with a 75% penalty in HEX to help the fucking little guys. And the people that have multi-sig wallets like exchanges, they can't claim at all. They're murdered by 100%. So there's maybe only a couple big exchanges that can claim. Bittrex and Binance have cold wallets and aren't multi-sig. We're doing so many things to solve the problems with Bitcoin. There's so many problems with Bitcoin. Mining centralization. The fact that you have to buy an ASIC miner from somebody that, probably doesn't even speak your native tongue, has bad support, ships it to you at a bad time, dumps the price, difficulty's too high, inflation bugs, which really means mint as many free coins as you want bugs, spaghetti code, won't get any new improvements.
We've covered all that.
But it's a summry. Like, Bitcoin's fucked. Bitcoin is fucked.
We'll see.
How are you enjoying your 14K to 7K drop? How's the 20K to 7K 2 years later?
Sure, it sucks, but I also have enough faith that it's going to go back up.
Why? It might not.
It will.
Like, I still have a little bag of fucking Bitcoin. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it going up, but you know what? I don't really fucking believe. I'd rather have a bag of ETH.
I'm pretty sure if you were smart, you probably just put $5 million worth of ETH into Bitcoin until it goes back up to at least 20 grand.
I would 100% not choose Bitcoin over ETH. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Well, technically speaking, the more immediate gains would probably come from Ethereum or altcoins for that matter. But
dude, ETH is killing Bitcoin's ass. Every distributed finance thing is on ETH. So what did blockchain finally do? They're like, yo, we're gonna try and do our own little DeFi.
I want to dive so deep into this, and I want to talk about Cardano, and I want to talk about I want to talk about this, but I've got to go to bed.
Hey, let's talk about Cardano over HEX.
We will
HEX
in the future.
Exists. HEX exists and works now. Let's talk about Filecoin. HEX exists and works now. Let's talk about every other project that launched before HEX and still isn't out, and HEX is killing it and exists
hey, Richard,
right now.